Good morning, YouTube. I am Fasha here with Good Morning Coffee, and I wanted to go over with you, in my humble opinion, these new decisions by our executive chief in charge, the great one himself. Whoop, I'm sorry, I spoke out loud. I didn't mean for that to happen. I don't want to influence you or give you any idea of what part of this I come down on, but I wanted to go over these while they were fresh in our mind. And I'm reading from Fox News here, and stop holding things against Fox News. Everybody gets their news from somewhere. This is where I get mine. It's straight from the White House website. It says the following is a list of the following is a list provided by the White House of executive actions President Obama plans to address gun violence. Now, I'm working on looking at the camera and not looking up and all these wonderful things, but I've got to do some reading here, so bear with me. It says, number one, issue a presidential memorandum to require federal agencies to make relevant data available to the federal background check system. Okay, well, the first thing about that is, were they not doing this to begin with? Okay, I mean, are they not communicating up there? Because this, to me, sounds like something that should have been going on all along. Number two, address unnecessary legal barriers, particularly relating to health insurance, Portability and Accountability Act, that may prevent states from making information available to the background check system. Again, we're talking about this background check system. You know, I'm all about the Second Amendment. I'm all right about the right to defend yourself, but at the same time, I'm not so far to the right on gun laws that I don't think something needs to be done to address some things. But to me, here in the first two, we're talking about red tape, bureaucracy in the background check system. Kind of angers me a bit. Improve incentives for states to share information with the background check system. Oh my God, background check again. So improve incentives for states to share information. Are we not sharing it already? Incentives, the incentives should be to save lives. Direct the Attorney General to review categories of individuals prohibited from having a gun to make sure dangerous people are not slipping through the cracks. Was this written by somebody with any idea as to how to word an executive order? An executive order has the phrase slipping through the cracks. So the Attorney General is to review categories of individuals prohibited from having a gun to make sure dangerous people are not slipping through the cracks. Okay, so we're up to 4 now, and I haven't seen anything that's any different than before. Number 5, propose rulemaking to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check on an individual before returning a seized gun. Let me think about that for a second. If I'm reading this correctly, what that means is that if you find yourself in a situation where the police department seizes your gun, either because you were in, okay, here's perfect, you're in an automobile accident. You're legally allowed to have this gun because you got a purchase permit 3 years ago, and you purchased the handgun legally, and you had it in your car. And in North Carolina, if you're in an automobile accident and there's not an adult there in the car with you who is capable of taking the firearm for you while you're being transported to the hospital, a police officer must take possession of that handgun or that rifle. It cannot be transported with you. It cannot go into the ambulance. It cannot go into the hospital. So after you get out and you're okay, you go down to the police department in North Carolina and you say, hey, I'm here to get my gun that was collected by, I don't know, Officer Doss on 3 weeks ago when I was involved in an automobile accident and lost consciousness. Okay, in order for you to get your gun back, the gun that you legally owned because you legally purchased it and you were allowed to buy it before you can get it back, another background check is going to have to be run on you. Now, I could go either way on this because, you know, you could be, something could have happened in the last 3 years and you could have fallen through that crack and you were not allowed to own a handgun or firearm any longer, and they've got it, and now you can't get it back. So where does that gun go? Okay. Publish a letter, number 6, publish a letter from the ATF to federally licensed gun dealers providing guidance on how to run background checks for private sellers. Don't know about y'all, but in North Carolina, if I have a handgun and I want to sell it to another person, I have to get a gun permit from them, from the county of which they lived, stating that the sheriff in that county says that their background's clean and they're legally allowed to purchase a handgun. Okay, so it sounds like we've already got that in place. Launch a national safe and responsible gun ownership program. Hey, boom, I'm right there with you. No problems at all. I agree completely with that. The first thing I said after the Connecticut shooting was that this person needed to be, if this gun had been stored properly, we probably wouldn't have had that problem. Number 7, review safety standards for gun locks and gun safes, the Consumer Product Safety Commission. So we're going to review. Okay, number 7, launch. Number 6, publish. Number 5, propose. Number 4, direct. Number 3, improve. Number 2, address. And number 1, issue. Okay, we're going on up here to number 9 now. Issue a presidential memorandum requiring federal law enforcement to trace guns recovered in crime investigations. Excuse me, do they not already do that? Okay. Release a Department of Justice report analyzing information on lost and stolen guns and make it widely available to law enforcement. So the Department of Justice has this information, but they're not making it widely available to law enforcement? Number 11, nominate an ATF director. Hey, do we not have one of them already? Provide law enforcement, first responders, and school officials with proper training for active shooting situations. Well, I know in North Carolina, right after this thing in Connecticut happened, there was a lot of school superintendents in my county and the surrounding counties talking about how they were reviewing the ones they already had, that they were going over the ones they already had. They were looking to improve the ones they already had. So they've already got those. Number 13, maximize enforcement efforts to prevent gun violence and prosecute gun crime. Maximize. Issue a presidential memorandum directing the Center of Disease Control to research the causes and prevention of gun violence. Center for Disease and Control, is a gun a disease? Honestly, these people have already got their hands in too much stuff. Direct the Attorney General to issue a report on the availability and most effective use of new gun safety technologies and challenge the private sector to develop innovative technologies. Okay. Clarify the Affordable Care Act does not prohibit doctors asking their patients about guns in their home. My doctor has no need asking me anything about what I have in my house. He doesn't need to be asking me what television shows I watch. He doesn't need to be asking me where I go on the weekends to have a good time or socialize or what have you. That's none of his business, okay? None of his business. He does not need to be asking me those questions. Looking down here, 16, clarify, I'm sorry, got to scroll down a little bit. 17, release a letter to healthcare providers clarifying that no federal law prohibits them from reporting threats of violence to law enforcement authorities. Okay, I can go along with this right here because if this whole doctor-client privilege thing that's out there, you know, if I'm sitting here and a buddy of mine walks to the door and says, you know, I feel like killing my wife. Well, the first thing I'm personally going to do is I'm going to detain him here while I get somebody else in the house to call somebody. I'm sorry, but if you come through my door and you're not known to make statements like that, I'm going to have a conversation with you while the police are on the way to come down here and have a talk with you. I'm sorry. That's this. We do. If people are out there and they're talking about killing themselves, hurting themselves, or other people, folks, we need to step up about that. Number 18, provide incentives for schools to hire school resource officers. Boom, there you go. Okay, you can say whatever you want to about it takes a good person with a gun to stop a bad person with a gun. But again, these gun-free zones, All that says to a bad guy is I can do in there and I can do what I want because nobody's going to have any type of equipment or tools to stop me from doing it. Okay? I think that alone would cut down on a lot of this. Number 19, develop model emergency response plans for schools, house of worships, and institutions of higher education. Okay, I mean, I can go along with that, but what about the grocery store? What about the library? What about the bank? What about all these other places that are not, I lost it, I'm sorry, I lost it. Schools, house of worship, and institutions of higher education. Release, number 20, release a letter to state health officials clarifying the scope of mental health services that Medicaid plans to cover. No clue. Finalize regulations clarifying essential health benefits and party requirements with the ACA exchange. Sounds like that is pork, okay? Number 2, commit to finalize mental health party regulations. Okay, commit to what? Finalizing them? Okay, regulations, are they not final now? Number 23, launch a national dialogue led by Secretary Sabellis and Duncan on mental health. Okay, let's summarize this. Number 1, issue. 2, address. 3, improve. 4, direct. 5, propose. 6, publish. 7, launch. 8, review. 9, issue. 10, release. 11, nominate. 12, provide. 13, maximize. 14, issue. 15, direct. 16, clarify. 17, release. 18, provide. 19, develop. 20, release. 21, finalize. 22, commit. 23, launch. What? This president is so playing both sides on this, it's not even funny. Now, the other side of it, it was released later, was that he is going to urge Congress. He is going to push Congress. He's going to do everything in his power to get Congress to create a law on assault ban weapons, or assault weapons. So again, this president skips out on making a decision. He's playing both sides. The only thing he knows is he wants to spend about, what, $4 billion, $5 billion on this? More money out of my pocket that's going to do absolutely nothing but create additional red tape and bureaucracy out there that's going to do nothing for this. So him standing around the kids today, yesterday, and doing all this stuff, it was nothing. It was just fluff. It was just nothing but fluff. This was a waste of our time. This answers no questions. This takes no action. It does absolutely nothing that's going to help with gun violence in this country except create more bureaucracy and more questions about why some of this stuff hasn't already been done before. Alright, that's my take on it. Kind of upset about this. You know, if action needs to be taken, let's take some action, President. Come on. You're a leader. Take a leadership role. Do something about this. As always, good morning coffee. This is my opinion. What's yours? Take care, YouTube. See you later.